Hey y'all, my brother and I were having this great conversation about, by the way, I'm going to boil some potatoes in some heavy salt water while I tell this story. Anyways, my family is from Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, in the state of Tamaulipas, northern part of Mexico on the border of Texas. He was telling me about platos nacidos de la pobreza, which translates to dishes born out of poverty. They had to use what they could. Things that lasted a long time were potatoes and onions, various chiles, cabbage, etc. Side note, you can see the evaporated salt start to form around the rim here. Back to the story. One of the dishes that stood out in my head was tacos de papa, potato tacos. Because of the simplicity of it, of just using a few items to make a really delicious meal. I think my potatoes are done. So I drain the water and I put them back in the pot over heat, and I'll evaporate the water that's holding on to the outside of the potato. Only salt will remain, giving you a perfectly seasoned potato. You can eat them just like that. Here I've thrown in a few guajillo chilies and some chicken stock, and I'll just rehydrate them to get them nice and soft so I can put them in a blender. And this liquid I will use in my masa that I will make tortillas with. After they've rehydrated and become soft, I'll take them out and open them up, take out the stems and as many seeds as I can. After pureeing with a little bit of chicken stock or a lot of chicken stock, I'll put it through a strainer and make sure any seeds or leftover skin is strained out of my liquid here that I'm going to add to my tortilla mix. Here I just have some regular corn flour masa. I'll season with a little salt. And for my liquid, I'll use this guajillo liquid that I made with chicken stock. And here, again, it's all by feel. There's no exact recipe. You don't want it too wet or too dry. The more you play with it, you'll just get the hang of it. Too wet of a masa will be extremely difficult to take off of the plastic when you press them, and too dry of a masa will give you a very dense tortilla that won't souffle or become soft. So just play with it, add a little bit, take away a little bit. By taking away, I mean add more masa if you think it's too wet, or add more liquid if you think it's too dry. The more you do it, the more familiar you'll get with the textures, and it'll become second nature at one point. Here I'll start working it in with my hands to get the texture that I want. I want this masa to pull away from the bowl and not stick to it anymore. I'll form a ball and then put a wet towel over it and set it aside. While that's resting, I'm going to make a salsa here. I'm going to cook down some tomatillos, serrano, a little piece of onion, and some garlic. Traditionally, this dish just comes with a salsa made from serranos and garlic, and that's it, and pureed with a little bit of liquid. Here they're looking really nice and soft, so I'm just going to grab them and throw them in a blender, and I'll add some salt and some cilantro and some chicken stock and puree it and make a little salsa. And just like that, simple salsa. After resting my masa, it's ready, and I'll just start making my tortillas, giving them a light press in between two pieces of plastic. Grocery store plastic bags works pretty well. Just cut them to size. In a pan, just lay it in. Don't slap it in, because then you'll get a bunch of air bubbles underneath, and you don't want that. Just give it one flip after a couple of seconds, and hopefully they souffle like this. That's what you're looking for. Here I have my tortillas, and I'm going to start assembling my tacos de papa. I want to apologize that I forgot to press record when I mashed my potatoes, but I kept it simple. like the dish requires. All I used was a little bit of chicken stock and salt, and that's it. No butter, no cream, no nothing. Just chicken stock and salt. Just a rough mash will do. So we'll just assemble these as we go. I have some hot oil here, and I'll just begin to fry these until nice and crispy. The color will also turn a little bit more red from the guajillo chili that we used to make the masa. As I'm plating here, I'm kind of holding back because I want to add some crema and some queso fresco and some other things to garnish these tacos de papa. But you have to remember, they didn't have refrigeration, so they didn't have the luxury of having things like cheese and sour cream and things like that. So to stay with tradition, here's some shaved cabbage and a little bit of the salsa verde that we made. And that is the simplicity that intrigued me so much. This is it. Tacos dorados de papa with shaved cabbage and salsa verde. It doesn't get more simple than that. I'll see you next time.